Okay, so this is the second way to create your MPAA logo. The first video that I did was basically using the shape-based tools like these guys over here, and then using the pixel-based way. Now I'm going to show you how to use the shape-based method that's up here. Okay, so first of all, let me focus on this for a minute. This is going to be very simple, just making the box. It's not a big deal at all. So we will arrange our pages like so. And I'm going to zoom in down here. Now, I'm as I did in class, I mean, I can trust you to create the type for your layer. You don't need to see that done here. But basically, now, you might think that I might use the line tool. And actually what I do is I find the line tool a little bit difficult to use for this, because this is actually going to be kind of small anyway. So what I'll do is I'm going to set up a color that's going to be visible against this background, which is kind of this obnoxious green. And all I'm going to do is draw a box that looks like this. Like so. I wish that would stop coming up. Now I'll also draw one from the bottom. And draw one up here. That looks pretty good. And first of all, I'm just going to duplicate these two guys. So I'll click on this one here. Well, actually, okay, I'll click on this one here. There we go. And I'll just hold down the Option key or Alt key on your Windows and drag this over here. Notice that it's getting kind of squirrely on height-wise, so I will also hold down the Shift key so that stays on the same height. And I'll use my arrow keys to kind of move it to the left just a taste. Maybe a little bit more to the outside. There we go. And I'll take this top layer and Option drag this down. And that looks nice. And I'll draw a couple of other quick boxes. I only need to do two more. So go back to here and draw one like this. That's nice. And, oops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, I need to zoom out just a little bit more. I think I can work with that. Yes. And then draw another box right here. Okay, now you'll notice that in this case we've got 4 different layers. Not really what I wanted to do. It'll work for now, okay? Let me go to the other window here so we can focus on how to do this, guys. I'm going to hit Command 0 to fill the window. I'll hit Command R to turn on the rulers and lay out some guidelines here. I'll drop this in the center. That looks nice. And I'll drop this in the center. Now this one actually doesn't work out precisely on the center, so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, okay, a lot, and then move this around. I'm going to drag this like 1 pixel to the right. Oh, and it's snapping, not the way I really wanted it to, so I'm going to turn snap off. There we go. Okay, now that's right down the middle, right between these halves here. So I'll zoom out. Okay. Now, we're going to stick with this green for now. That's okay. But our main thing is we want to do this all on one layer. Now, back on this one, I'll show you how to put this all on one layer when we need to. Okay? If we need to. But for now, let's focus on this one. Now, this is going to be using the ellipse tool. And I'm going to start dead center. And click and drag a box out. Now notice that the origin is at the upper left-hand corner, basically in the dead center of our document. But it's also, you know, I can move this to all 4 quadrants of the image. But we don't want that. We want this to be centered in the very center of the document. So I'm going to hold down the Option key. There we go. And I'm going to fit this to our giant logo here. Now if it isn't, if it isn't dead on precise, don't sweat it too heavily, because this whole thing that we're creating here is going to be very, very small once we get to the end point here. Okay, that looks good. And there's my green shape. Now you can see there's a little bit of blue showing through there. Not a huge deal. Okay. Now, is there a way to turn that off? Don't show in shape creation. Good. I don't want that anymore. Awesome. Okay, so what I want to do here, however, is I need to see what I'm going to do. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of this layer down to about 40%. So you can see it, but you don't need to see it. That didn't come out right. You can see the background that you need to see, but we don't need to see this forward green layer. Okay, now, this is where Photoshop gets a little squirrely. We're going to do this. We're going to combine shapes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to cut a hole now. So where this gap is here, okay, inside our big ellipse, I want to cut that. But just first of all, I just want to make the shape. Okay, so I'll get this dead center, good, and then drag this out again, holding down the Option key, and I want to fit this into the hole right here. Again, it doesn't have to be super, super precise, but I like to get it as precise as I can. And let go. Now, right now, what I call them polarities, and I wish they'd make this more clear. Combine shapes is basically a positive polarity. Subtract from shape is basically a negative polarity. So we want to subtract. Okay, I want to subtract this inner shape from this outer shape that I drew the first time and keep it on the same layer. So what I'm going to do is you can see that the inner shape is selected. You can see the points on it. And I'm going to do subtract from shape. Boom, and it cuts into it. That's what we have to do. It's a little awkward to do positive and negative shapes, but I think you'll get the hang of this. Now I'm going to draw another shape. Now currently, you can see my cursor is set to negative. So it's going to draw a shape, but it's going to be set to subtract. Okay, that's okay for now. Don't sweat that. Okay, so I'll draw again holding down Option, and I'm going to fill this shape here. That looks good. Let go. Now you can see that it actually cut into the first shape because it's a subtracting shape. But I can set this to be positive, which is combine shapes, and you can see that it is all filled in now. So again, we have to cut through with a negative one again. I'll start dead center, click and drag. I'm accidentally hitting the Shift key when I do that. Okay, that looks pretty good. Needs to go a little bit higher and a little bit wider. Now, unfortunately, that's cutting in a weird way. Again, it's not totally precise. I'm going to work on the width more than the height. And now the phone is ringing. We will continue on. Now notice that this curve, it meets at the edge over here, and it basically meets over here. It doesn't quite meet the top and bottom. As I said, this doesn't have to be that precise. If I was really that concerned, I would scale it and fit it more vertical, but that's not that big a deal. Let's continue on. We're going to subtract. We need to tell that one to subtract, so we'll hit this one here, subtract. Awesome. Okay, now we've got this inner circle, so I'll do this again. Center it up, hold down Option, and that looks pretty good. We'll set this to be positive. Okay, I might even move this over just a pixel or two. So this is still select. I'll use just the arrows, and that's fine. Good. And again, we'll go back to the ellipse tool. This one that we're going to subtract. So Option key and subtract. Oh, it went to a new layer. Okay, hang on. I've got to backtrack a little bit. I don't want this to be on a separate layer, obviously, so I'll hit Command Z to undo. Hello, Command Z. And then, let's see, this one is set to that. We're going to set this to, we'll set it to combine shapes for now. I'm going to start off for 1 pixel to the left there and try it one more time. Okay, now we'll set that to subtract. Okay, looking good in most cases here. Now we'll start on the center section. Now this is actually pretty easy. So I'll open this up here, and I'll also hold down the Shift key. and use the arrow key there to... Something's wrong here. What happened? Oh, it said to subtract. Duh. So combine that. There we go. But I do want to move this over to the left just a little bit. Use my arrow key. There we go. And now here, for these guys, I just want to make one of them. And I will... Again, it did... This is where it gets a little frustrating. Okay? So remember to combine shapes. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. That one is subtract. Okay, so I already did that one for combine. Hang on. We'll click on this guy there. There we go. Now this one is set to combine. Awesome. So basically the status that I'm creating next is based on the last thing that I created. So I just had to make sure that I had the last thing selected. Okay, now double checking. Combine shapes. Awesome. Okay, now we'll hold down Option and then Shift and arrow key. So I'll use the black arrow there. Use my arrow keys on the keyboard. That's close enough. Alright, again, duplicate. So I'll hold down the Option and I'll also hold down Shift. Remember how this can get squirrely if I don't hold down Shift. Okay, now I will... Here's the tricky part that I think a lot of people missed in class. I want to Shift click onto this guy so that both of these objects are selected, and I'll duplicate this. So again, Option click and drag down, and I'll hold Shift. There we go. And they're in the zone there. Now I want to get these triangles. Now I'm only going to do one, of course, and then I'll duplicate that a few times. So I'm going to zoom in. And again, this is one area that got a little bit difficult, I think, for students. So please review this if you're having difficulty. So I'm going to hold down, actually I'm not going to hold down anything right now, but I will drag out some handles. Okay, and click and drag some handle here, and click and drag a handle down here, and then close this up here. Now I've got my 3 points. I'm going to go back with my direct selection tool because that allows me to click on individual anchor points, so I can move this around or move handles and whatnot. Okay, now I just want to go through and make the handles work for this shape. Now I like to break the handles, so officially we'll be using the direct selection tool, which is the white one, and the convert point tool. Okay, but I'm not going to go back and forth between these on this particular panel. I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to hold down Command and Option, and what that does is that temporarily allows me to use the convert point tool, even though it's this direct selection tool that's being used. Okay, so now that I'm holding down Command Option, for the Windows it would be Control Alt, of course. Okay, and so now I'll click and drag. So now that breaks the handles, obviously, and I'll point one out about this far, and then I'll break this handle over here. And now I'm just and of course now that they're broken, I don't even have to hold down anything anymore. So I'll kind of bring this over here like this, and like so. Maybe down a little bit farther, and I'm trying to get the lines to stay just at the edge of the shape there. So this is going out just a little bit over here. That's okay. Now these handles are still broken over here, so I will bring this one down towards this way, and I'll bring this one, actually, you know, I might move this anchor point just a little bit farther down too. I'll have to break this handle, so I'm at Command Alt again, Command Option, and again I'll move these handles so that they fit and conform to our strange shape just a little bit more. Nice. Okay, again, handles broken. I don't think I have to break any more handles. I'm likely going to try to make this mirror as much on this right one as I can. There we go, a little bit more. And I'll bring this one over down here. And I'm very happy. Okay, now it's a case of let's duplicate this. Very simple. Now for this, I want to go back to the path selection tool. Okay, so just remember, Direct selection is about working with individual anchor points. Path selection is about working with the entire path. In this case, the 3 anchor points that I have set up on that one shape. So that selects all of them. Now I'm going to duplicate this shape, so I will hold down Alt and click down here. I'll also hold down the Shift key to keep it aligned. And I'm going to flip this so that it resembles this shape. So I'll go down here to Edit, Transform Path, Flip Vertical, and then maybe use my arrow keys to drop that into place a little bit better. There we go. So again, I have 2 pieces here. I want to select both of them, so I will hold down Shift and click on this upper guy up here. So now they're both selected. And I will duplicate this by holding down Alt or Option on the Mac. There's my duplication. I will rotate these two 90 degrees. Could be clockwise or counterclockwise, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then I'll just drag these into position here. And I can use my arrows. That looks good. We're almost done. There are 2 bars that go across here like this. This is very easy to do, so I will use the rectangle tool. Make sure this is set to combine shapes and draw a box in here that can overlap the other green stuff. Again, it made it a new shape. I thought I said to combine shapes. What the heck? Let's try that again. Combine shapes. Come on, Photoshop, get with the program. Okay, here we go. You saw that. You saw what I'm doing. It should work. All right. When in doubt, we're going to punt. Okay? What I can do is I can cut this and duplicate it so that it does show up on the proper layer. Okay, so here's how it's going to work. So I'll go get the black tool here. I'll select that. Okay, and I'm going to hit Command X to cut, or on the Windows it would be Control X to cut. Okay, now this one is selected. I'm going to paste, and it pasted on that same layer. Notice that it's taking on the same color value because the opacity for the entire layer is set to 41%. Okay, so that's basically all we have to do when it comes to multiple layers that you want on one layer. You do a lot of cutting and pasting. Okay, so again, we'll click on this and duplicate it. So Option key or Alt on Windows, drag it over here, holding the Shift key to keep it aligned. Boom, done. Everything is great, and it's all on one layer. If I take out that, oh, let's turn the opacity back up. There it is. Okay, it's all on one layer. Looks great. Now, we want to put this particular logo back on this window here. So we're going to Arrange and go to 2-up vertical. And I'll hit Command 0, just actually a little bit, Command minus a couple times. There we go. And this is actually going to come out very huge on this poster. So I'm going to use the Move tool, and I'll get this ellipse and drag it over into this window. Obviously, it's very huge. Okay, and I will change the arrangement here to consolidate back to position. Okay, now you can see that my ellipse is now on the top since I dragged it to the top, and we'll probably do that cut and paste trick for all these rectangles in just a moment. And let's see, we want to scale this, so Command T, and I'm going to do the proportional scale. Basically 9% is the number that I found. So when I change 9 here, it changes 9 on the height as well, and I hit the Enter key, and now I can zoom down into this area and use the Move tool and move that layer right over there, and it looks great. Okay, we're almost done, and let's now convert all of these layers onto, we can put them on the ellipse layer, we can make it all one thing. In fact, I'll just relabel this MPAA. Okay, so we'll go through each one of these things, and I'll zoom in so we can see this. Okay, in fact, maybe I'll reduce the opacity on the MPAA logo just so we can see how that works. Okay, so we'll take this layer, cut, and pretty sure I hit cut. That would be the first layer, I believe. Hang on, auto select. There we go. And we'll auto select individual layers. Awesome. Hang on. Oh, those two lines were on the same layer, right? Okay, so let's do this. Command X. Tell you what, let's select these individually first. Shift, okay, both of them are selected. Now Command X, very good. Now I'll go to the MPAA logo and paste, good. And then I'll go to this layer here and grab, oh, that's the middle line, okay, that's okay. So select that, Command X, put it on the MPAA logo, awesome. And this layer is the middle line, so we'll click on that, selected, hello, selected, Command X, paste it back into the MPAA, okay, and then our last line are the two outside left and right things, so I'll select that one and that one, Command X, paste it on the MPAA, and turn the opacity back up, and it's all there. Looking good. Hope that works for you and your poster.